Good morning, I'm Kristen Folletti and welcome to News Desk on SiliconANGLE TV for Thursday, May 23rd, 2013. At Google I/O's developer conference last week, the search giant gave away the most expensive machine built around a browser ever, the Chromebook Pixel. This was obviously a big gesture to the marketplace about what Google sees as the dominant development environment of the future, HTML5 and JavaScript. But will JavaScript take over the programming world? Here to help us tackle that is Simon St. Laurent, Senior Editor of O'Reilly Media Incorporated. Good morning, Simon. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Good morning. Great to be here.
Last week, Google gave all attendees of their popular developer conference the $1,449 Chromebook Pixel, which SiliconANGLE contributor Anton Wallman called the Maserati of Chromebooks. So still, this is a device which is entirely built around a browser. So Simon, what does that indicate for the future of HTML5?
Well, HTML5 has come a long way. Originally we were using HTML as kind of our window into documents, into things you could find on the web. With HTML5, with the Chromium work that Google is doing, you're really seeing the web become a standard interface, not just to documents, but to applications and to the work that people do every day, all the time.
Now, there was a lot of demonstrations on the show floor at Google I/O that promised sort of seamless experiences that cross between desktop and mobile paradigms.
Mhm.
Is mobile the new normal, or can we finally expect, after all these years, a build once sort of run anywhere utopia with mobile and web?
Well, that's the exciting part, is that it's not just that mobile is becoming normal or the default. It's that building for mobile and building for desktop are happening at the same time. I was just at another show, the Artifact conference, which was aimed at web designers, and that was all about responsive web design. And the techniques we have now to create one site, one time, that'll run on your phone, that'll run on your Chromebook, that'll run in a desktop browser, and make all of those experiences seem like it was built for that. It's become much easier to build write once, run everywhere.
Simon, you recently wrote in your column on the O'Reilly Media Programming vertical on some scenarios in which JavaScript might not take over the programming world. Can you elaborate on what you meant by that?
Sure. About a year ago, I was sort of a JavaScript triumphalist. Node was coming out. There was, JavaScript was migrating to the server. I was watching lots of people who had done great things with JavaScript moving from just working always in the browser and in strange and varied browser environments to moving to the server. And, they could do anything and everything they wanted there in an environment they had more control over. And I was speculating that JavaScript, because of its ubiquity, had the opportunity to take over a huge chunk of programming. It's not going to do what C does. It's not going to do what your hardcore functional programming languages do. But as a middle language, it's amazing. That doesn't make a lot of people happy. There are a lot of people who have to work in JavaScript involuntarily. Their job requires them to do something with the web, and the web is JavaScript, so therefore JavaScript, and it doesn't look like what they want. I think those people are going to be a lot happier now, because we're seeing a shift in the way that JavaScript gets used. It's not just that you build JavaScript directly around web infrastructure. It's that you can now more frequently, more reliably write in an environment that makes you comfortable, whether that's Java, whether that's something like Dart or CoffeeScript, or even conceivably something like C, and compile it to a set of JavaScript primitives that the engine builders have optimized to work on a wide variety of environments. So JavaScript's becoming something you can compile to, not just work in.
Now, we know next week is the O'Reilly conference, and you are the program chair of Fluent. One of the topics of discussion is likely going to be the new ways that developers are taking control of JavaScript and the compile to JavaScript languages. Are these new ways of coding becoming the norm, in your opinion, or will there be a return to frameworks and direct coding as developers need more direct control?
Well, I'm seeing several things happen. So it used to be that frameworks were a way to avoid writing the same code over and over, and jQuery gave ordinary JavaScript developers superpowers. That was sort of phase one. Phase two, I think, is the frameworks we're seeing now that are largely around model view controller and variants on that. We have Backbone, we have Ember, we have Angular. The next phase, which also was discussed at Google I/O and we'll have some corners discussing on at Fluent, is this shift to componentization, modularization. Google's Angular framework is now developing connections with something called Polymer. And Polymer takes the concept of polyfills, which used to fix gaps in bad browsers, and applies it to extending the browser in ways that developers can reuse easily, that designers can understand. Um, it's a big shift. It's only starting to happen, and I think developers who want, whether they want more control or whether they want to step back from JavaScript, have a lot to learn right now.
Well, Simon, we look forward to seeing you next week on theCUBE, and thank you so much once again. We really welcome you to our program, and we hope to see you soon.
Great, thank you. See you at the show.
And still to come, all of today's top tech headlines in your daily roundup. But first, Wikibon principal research contributor Jeff Kelly shares how Walmart plans to use big data in its mobile strategy.